Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. So here we are, 6 weeks from a midterm election, and all the candidates are out there busy as they've ever been, except for one candidate who seems to be missing in action ever since they put out an infamous letter August 31st. And it's the last thing they put out, mostly because it was so infamous, false, and wrong. And he's probably going to be in a lot of trouble. But hey, here comes the cavalry as 14 legislatures put out a letter asking the State Board of Education to revoke Summer Boismeyer's teaching certificate. Real quick before we get started, if you like the content of this channel, the best way you can support it is to go down here to the little blue tile and click subscribe. Subscribing is really the best way you can support the work I do. Also, go to my website at kitfairchild.com where you will find information to other merchandise like my book, 10 Lessons of Conservative Cowardice, as well as other videos out on YouTube. So yeah, Ryan Walters has been missing in action for the last 3 to 4 weeks. He's put out a letter. This is the last thing he's done publicly. And in this letter that is now infamous because nothing in this letter is true, he has been really quiet. We haven't heard anything from him or his campaign, which is unusual because here we are 6 weeks out from an election and we haven't heard a peep from Ryan Walters or his campaign, while Jena Nilsson is just taking off. We haven't heard anything from Ryan Walters because he really messed up. I'm pretty sure his lawyers got a hold of him and said, hey, shh, stop. This is way off base. And so now, he's the one who may be in big trouble for what he did. He could get sued for libel and defamation, and even lose his own teacher's certificate because of violating Principle 2 of the Code of Educators here at Oklahoma. He absolutely could. So I'm pretty sure that's got him pretty scared and has him pretty withdrawn. During an election season, that can't be a good look. So, what do conservatives do? Well, they do what they always do. And they rally the troops, right? So somehow, some way, Ryan Walters is getting kicked, and all of a sudden, these legislatures, 14 of them, decide they're going to put out their own letter. 9 days after Ryan Walters put out his. So about the 8th or 9th of September, 14 legislators put out a letter asking for the State Board of Education to investigate a private citizen in what she said as a teacher. That's what they want to do. They want to use the force of their office to force an investigation, cause more stress and anxiety upon a private citizen because she said some mean things about Republican state legislators. Well, you know, these are Republican state legislators, of course, who sent off this letter, so probably has a lot of ego involved. But even more than that, these are some of your well-known players. I mean, there's Wendy Stearman, of course. She's a pretty far radical, right-wing, conservative, and that's what she does, pretty much. She supports radicals like Sean Roberts, the Patriot. And of course there's others. We have Jim Olson, of course, who's against anything that's Democrat, no matter what it is, against medical marijuana, against anything that doesn't have Jesus in it. No, he's absolutely a nut. And then of course there's also here in the Metro, House District 100, Marilyn Stark. Yeah, and Bethany, she says, you know, she represents Bethany, Waracres, Oklahoma City. So anyway, House District 100, Marilyn Stark, also signed off on this letter asking for the State Board to investigate Summer Boismeyer and pull her teacher certificate if she violated House Bill 775. Well, there's a few interesting things about all this. One, the Norman Board of the school board, they came up and said after they did their investigation that there was never a violation of 1775. And they came out and cleared the air saying, hey, all this stuff that Ryan Walters said about sexualizing children with a QR code, Well, one is baloney anyway, but two, that's not even the violation that the parent brought up. See, a parent brought up a violation. They said, hey man, my kid was saying that she was saying negative things about Republican state legislators. That was the whole complaint. It was nothing about having a QR code where you could only get a library card. That's all that does. It doesn't take you to sexualize material. The only way conservatives can get there is using the 6 degrees of separation. Because by the long way around, if you go to this website using that QR code, then you'll have to fill out an application to get a library card. And if you're approved for the application to get a library card, well, then you might be able to get into some sexualized books. So as you can see how conservatives do that. That's how they do it. It's kind of cowardly, really. I wrote a book about it. So this is where we're at in all this. So by, I guess, going after state legislatures, these state legislatures think that's sexualizing children somehow. No, they really do. And they really want to make it that way. Actually, you know, it's not that they think, they really want to make it into sexualizing children. See, because that helps them politically. See, this is political season, 6 weeks till an election. So if they can get it out, Democrats sexualize kids, and they can put that in people's brains, well, that's a boogeyman. Oh my God, we don't want to vote for them. You sexualize children with saying bad things about state legislatures. See, I'm doing it now. I'm talking bad about people like Marilyn Stark. So I'm sexualizing children by doing that. If a kid watches this show, oh my God, they're getting sexualized, right? Well, in her mind, they are. And that's how they work. You just got to understand their mindsets. And that's just what they do. So yeah, they got this letter. And I wonder who the political strategist was. Probably wasn't any. It was probably one of these bozos, one of these 14, that decided, hey, we need to hop on this bandwagon. Or hey, Ryan Walters is getting kicked when he is down because we really kicked the crap out of him. And I'm going to tell you something. They came to his aid. That's what this is about. This is coming to his aid. This is the cavalry coming in. You know, we're going to save Ryan Walters by going after this private citizen in a very public and political way. It's what conservatives do. It's what they're doing here. It's what the representative from Moore is doing. It's what Jim Olson's doing. It's what Marilyn Stark is doing. It's exactly what they're doing. Going after a private citizen for political purposes, for political gain. It's exactly what they're doing. And it's exactly the mindset of how conservatives work. See, they love to use the power of government, their power of big government, to harm those they disagree with. See, they disagree with Summer Boyesmeyer. As a matter of fact, they majorly disagree with her because they talk bad about her, right? She talked bad about them. Oh, now we got to really go after her. So they're going to use all the power and tools of government that they are in control of to do that. That's what this is. That's what this whole letter is about. The whole letter. The letter. The whole thing is a political exercise of power and control over a private citizen. Because, see, Summer Boyesmeyer, she's a school teacher. She makes barely $35 a year. Okay, that's $35,000. Lives in an apartment. She's not a rich person. She has no power. She really has no real influence. Which she kind of does now because they made a big national spectacle out of it, thanks to Ryan Walters. You know, maybe he's the strategical master of all this, because really, when I look at what he did with that letter, none of it was true. None of it. There wasn't anything in it that was true. So the strategical mastermind of all of this has got to be Ryan Walters, because it's such a failure. Here he is, puts out this letter, and all of a sudden he's MIA. We haven't heard from him in nearly a month. And it's the middle of the height of the election season. It really starts September 1st to the end of October is when you're really hitting that campaign trail. It's 2 months before. It's when everybody really starts paying attention to what's going on. And Ryan Walters is nowhere to be found. That kind of tells you the gravity of the situation. Because yes, Summer does have lawyers. Yes, they have been vocal. Some of them, even the ACLU has come out and stated, hey, we'll represent her if no one else does. There's so many violations of libel and slander and going against Principle 2 of the Code of Conduct for Educators in Oklahoma. There's so much there. So it's no wonder that Ryan Walters is really quiet right now, not saying anything. Probably at the behest of his lawyers, who say, hey, you may be really in trouble here, guy. Not only that, because he was able to put his letter on state letterhead, the state is liable too. They could get sued as well, because he did this from the power of his office, which is what conservatives like to do, right? They like to use the power of their office, the force of big conservative government, to do harm to those they disagree with. LGBTQ people, liberals in general, vegans even. Vegans. They had a story about a guy who didn't get his vegan meal on a plane. Because, you know, he's a restricted diet. Didn't get it. And everybody laughed, bring your meal. But here's the thing. He paid for the meal. Prepaid for it. Didn't get it. But these conservative jerkweeds, hey, they're all good with that. Well, then he should have brought his own snacks. Even if he paid for it? Yeah. And that's exactly how they feel about it. It's how they think about it. Just ask Mark Wayne Mullet. Probably feel the same way, I'm sure. I'm almost positive. That's how conservatives are. These are part of their values. Conservative values. Do harm to those who you disagree with and use the force of big government to do it. And that's what this is all about. That's what these 14 legislators are doing. They're going after a private citizen in a very ugly way, and in a way that didn't work for Ryan Walters. So I'm wondering, how do they think this is going to work for them? This is really going to work for them? They're going to go after a private citizen who did nothing but talk bad about them. That's it. Didn't put up a QR code or anything. You've got already 2 boards that say, you know, she really didn't violate SB 1775. But here you got these legislators who are demanding an investigation, even though we have a few bodies who have already come up and said, you know, there's really nothing here. There's really nothing here. Oh, have the investigation. We'll make up something. And that's exactly how conservatives work. You don't have to go too far into seeing that when you go to James Lankford and a letter he put out on January 7th when his friends told him to jettison the Constitution and keep Trump president. Oh, just find a way to keep him. Lie to people. Do it. And that's exactly what they did. Disenfranchise tens of millions of Americans. Why not? Just to keep Trump. They won't mind. It's treason. It's sedition. It's exactly what that is. But back to this Ryan Walters thing. Ryan Walters, man, down in the polls, about 8 points. You almost don't come back from that. It's hard to come back from 6 points. 6 points down, you may not win. You probably got really good odds that you're not going to win if you're 6 points down. He's down further than that. And it's even worse because he's not on the campaign trail campaigning. Can't be. He's not. He's too scared because he screwed up. See, he screwed up. Well, he did. He put out this letter. Let me say, first, she was fired. No, she wasn't. She resigned and then got her job back. And they asked her for a job back, and she said, "No, you know, this isn't going to work for me." And then comes out and says that she was sexualizing kids. She's sexualizing children. She's a disgrace to the profession and a harm to the profession. Wow, man, he's just totally defaming her. None of it is true. None of that was true. And he put that letter out without a lick of investigation, without calling anybody and said, "Hey, man, is this what really happened?" You should have gone down to at least the school board in Norman and gave him a call and said, "Hey, man, what's up with this? What's the complaint? Can I get a copy?" Nope, didn't do that. Just went off with whatever rumor and innuendo was happening at the time so he could pull out the opportunity because it's political season. He wants a political win. So he took a gamble. And he lost badly. And I believe that's what we're seeing here. We're going to see the defeat of Ryan Walters because of his hubris, his lies, his libel, and his defamation. And what we're going to see also, we may not see it, but I would really like to see these 14 legislatures who are demanding an investigation into something people have already said, hey, there's nothing there. It's a political stunt. That's all it is. They want to waste taxpayer dollars to gain some kind of political benefit and harm a private citizen while they do it. And they have no conscience. There's nothing there. They have, no, that seems right to me. No moral standard right here. None. Zero. Nothing. No, running the life of a private citizen that doesn't make 30, 35 a year, good with it. They are. People like Jim Olson. People like George Burns. People like, there's a list of them. Whole list of them. I got them right here. Marilyn Stark. Wendy Stearman. These people. These conservatives. These are their values. To go after a private citizen in this way. In a gross and ugly way. When they don't even know the true facts. And even when the true facts do come out and they're telling them, hey man, there's nothing there, I'll have the investigation anyway. See, it's still going to look good for Republicans if we rake her over the coals. Whether there's nothing there or not, at least we can say, hey, there's an investigation going on. And that's what they want to do. And that's the whole point of this. The whole point of this letter. The whole point of what these representatives are doing, most of them who are running for office right now. Well, this is Across the Desk with Kit Fairchild. And we'll see you next week.